Hello, and welcome to the session Protecting Your Data Using AWS Backup and Recovery Solutions. My name is Jabu Sibanyoni, and I'm a Senior Solutions Architect here at AWS. Every organization requires data protection. Data is an organization's most critical asset, which is why safeguarding it against regular actors, natural disaster, technical failures is a top priority. So in this session, I'm going to take you through some of the best practices and strategies that you can use to protect your data in AWS. So the objectives of the session today, I'm going to take you through AWS Backup Solutions, then take you through AWS Storage Services. And finally, I'm going to take you through disaster recovery on AWS. So when looking at protecting your data against ransomware, it's not a matter of if, but when the organization will be attacked by ransomware. So every organization needs to protect their critical assets, such as data, and safeguarding it against ransomware. So this also is to protect your data against natural disasters, emergencies, or technical failures. So first, let's look at why do we backup data? So we backup data to minimize the time required to be able to recover that data in case of a disaster. So organizations, therefore, require to define their RTO, which is the recovery time objective. So this actually determines what is considered acceptable time window when the service is available. Also, organizations need to determine the RPO, that is the recovery point objective. So this determines what is considered an acceptable loss of data between the last recovery point and the service interruption. So for ransomware to be successful, they have to hold your data for ransom. So the first thing that is very important for organization is to be able to make sure that you have proper business continuity and disaster recovery plans. So AWS can help you address this through a number of solutions, a number of services, which I will be able to take you through them in the next slides. So one of the services that you can use or leverage whilst you are still storing your data on premises is the storage gateway service, which comes with a number of types. So first is the file gateway. So the file gateway allows you to be able to store your data into AWS Cloud, specifically into the service Amazon S3, which is our simple storage service. So for your file-based type of applications, you are then able to replicate that data and store that data, and AWS still be able to provide you with hybrid workflows, allowing you low latency access to that data. And all the data that is transferred into AWS is encrypted in transit and also encrypted at rest. So if you happen to have been attacked by a ransomware, then you are able to then use this file-based data that you would have stored on AWS to be able to recover your service. Another type of a storage gateway is the tape gateway. So what tape gateway provides you is you are now able to replace your physical tapes on an on-premise environment with virtual tapes on AWS without even changing your existing backup workflows. So this allows you to store or to archive your data into AWS service such as your Amazon S3 Glacier, allowing you a cost-effective and highly durable storage service onto the cloud for your tapes. The last service or the last type in the storage gateway family is the volume gateway. So volume gateway is for your block storage type of data from your on-premise that can be backed up to cloud storage. So this is a service that can be used for your disaster recovery as well, for your on-premise application. Another service that allows you to be able to centralize, automate your backup across a number of different AWS solutions is a service called AWS Backup. So this service allows you to have a simplified backup scheduling, lifecycle management across different AWS services, allowing you to centrally manage your backup activities, security, and even reporting. Therefore, achieving consistency and meeting your compliance requirement. So if you look at AWS Backup, it has a seamless integration with the AWS Storage Gateway. So all those storage gateway that you can use on-premise, when your data is on AWS, then you are able to use AWS Backup with that data to seamlessly recover your data in case of a disaster. So now let's look at AWS Storage Services that can help you to minimize the risk of ransomware. So these services provide you with high availability. This is through data replication through disparate regions and availability zones. So a service such as your S3, our simple storage service, you can replicate your data to different regions and even replicate your data into different accounts. So any of the services or most of the services that AWS offers does have some form or capability to be able to do snapshots or backup of your data. So first, why would you choose AWS for storage? So there's compelling economics reasons you would choose AWS for storage. First is you will now be able to pay as you go. So it eliminates the risk for capacity planning. So there is no provisions for redundancy because the services that you will be using, they will have that provision or automated for you. It also provides you an easy access or easy use by providing you a self-service administration for that service, as we have seen with the AWS Backup service. So then you are able to reduce the risk because a service such as your Amazon S3 provides you with highly durable and secure service for your data storage. So when we were discussing tape gateway, if you use our virtual tape gateway as part of the AWS storage gateway, then you are able to avoid the risk of handling physical media. So now let's look at some of those services that allows you to be able to have high availability, keeping your applications running 24/7 even in situations where you are met with a disaster or you are attacked, such as ransomware. So services that allows you to be able to replicate your data between availability zones, services such as our Amazon RDS, services such as our Amazon Aurora, allowing you to be able to replicate your data across different availability zones. But you also have services that offers you even much more higher availability, where you are able to replicate your data across AWS regions as well. If you look at services such as Amazon Aurora, you are able to configure global databases where your data can be replicated to different region or different disparate AWS regions as well. Similarly, you are able to achieve that with our NoSQL database storage service, which is Amazon DynamoDB, allowing you to be able to have or to define global tables where your data is replicated across different regions. So when your data is in AWS, AWS provides you the highest standard of privacy and data security. So this allows you to also meet your data residency requirements. So if you choose a region to store your data, AWS will not replicate your data elsewhere unless you choose to do so. Also, we are able to provide you with the service that gives you an ability to do encryption at scale. So if you choose for AWS to manage your keys, AWS Key Management Service is available for you. However, for customers who would like to manage their own keys, their own encryption keys, then a service such as AWS Cloud HSM allows you to be able to do that. So now, in an event of the disaster, you need to be able to recover your data as quickly as possible to ensure business continuity. So for critical applications, keeping the time to recover and the data loss to a minimum, it's very critical for any business. For any organization to really achieve this on an on-premise environment, it can be challenging and it requires quite high capital expense. So in this session, I'm going to take you through some of the features along with the services that AWS provides to be able to simplify the way you can do data or business continuity and allowing you to have high available environment with disaster resilient strategies. So let's look at some of those strategies. So first, AWS offers you 4 levels of backup and disaster recovery support. This is across a spectrum of complexity and time. So if you look at the services that are low priority or low priority use case, you are able to use backup and restore, where you can tolerate the RPO and RTO of hours. So in this case, you can use the services that you have just already mentioned from your on-prem environment using AWS Storage Gateway. This is a very cost-effective way to be able to really store your data on AWS Cloud, leveraging solutions such as your Amazon S3 that I've mentioned earlier. However, for the applications that are core services for your organization, where you require an RTO and an RPO of tens of minutes, and using AWS to scale your resources into AWS, or using AWS as a disaster event in case you were met with a disaster, or in case you were attacked by ransomware. So we also provide you with an option for warm standby in AWS. So warm standby in AWS is for solutions for business critical services. So this service or this solution requires even much lower RTO and RPO. So this is RTO and RPO within minutes. Then for your hottest data, or for your most critical applications, you require to use hot standby in AWS, where you have a multi-site approach to your disaster recovery. So this allows you to be able to auto fail over your environment into AWS. So now let's look at all those strategies on how they work. So for example, the pilot light, as an example, you would have your environment readily prepared in AWS, but your environment doesn't necessarily have to be running. So you might have scripted your environment using services such as your cloud formation, where when you are having a disaster, you are able to then switch over and use that environment and be able to start that environment within minutes. And you are able to, of course, add additional capacity if you need. So let's look at how you prepare for warm standby. So for warm standby, you will also mirror your data, but you will have a scaled down standby environment in AWS. So for when you are faced with a disaster, you will then be able to route your traffic into AWS environment and scale that environment for production. For the hot side, as I've mentioned earlier, you will have an active environment. So in this case, you will be replicating your environment, but you will be using both your corporate data center and AWS environment actively. So if you are having a disaster on your corporate data center, you are able to then use this environment to scale up for production use. So now let's also look at a service that can enable you to be able to really replicate your data in a much flexible way into AWS environments. So we provide a service called Cloud Endure. So Cloud Endure allows you to be able to replicate your data from any source. So providing you with wide range of options of operating systems that you can use to replicate your applications or to replicate your databases into AWS environment. And then allowing you to have really a seamless way and a reliable way to fall back or to fail back into AWS environment. So this provides you with a robust and predictable and non-disruptive continuous replication of your data into AWS Cloud. So if you are continuously replicating your data into AWS Cloud, this allows you then to have sub-second RPO, also allowing you to have the RTO within minutes. Your recovery time objective can be reduced to be within minutes. So this can be a very useful service to protect you against ransomware, but also to protect you against data corruption or human errors in your environment. So the Cloud Endure service is very highly automated, which requires very low skill set to be able to operate your environment. So this allows you to improve your recovery objectives whilst also reducing your total cost of ownership. Simple to set up, it lets you start in minutes. So let's look at how it works. You first install an agent. Once you have installed the agent, then the replication begins. You then set up a blueprint, which we also provide you with a test server where you can continuously test and make correction to your blueprint. So when you are ready, you are able to then cut over into AWS environment. So just to show you how that environment works, so that it provides you with a lightweight staging environment inside AWS Cloud. So this allows you to reduce your disaster recovery site compute cost by more than 95%. So in an event of a disaster, you are able to rapidly move your data or recover your data into AWS, providing you with RTO within minutes. Just to summarize what we've spoken about, so in summary, AWS offers you backup and disaster recovery services to protect your data against ransomware attacks. So our global network that interconnects our data centers and regions automatically encrypts the data at a physical layer before it leaves our secured facilities. So all the data that the storage gateway transfers to AWS is encrypted in transit and encrypted at rest in AWS. So thank you all for joining us today. And I hope you have found this session informative and you have learned about those strategies to be able to protect you against ransomware attacks. If you still require more information, please go to or please visit aws.amazon.com. Thank you.